All right, welcome you guys to Family Night with our amazing guest, Lindsey Wynia. Did I say that right? Did I
close?
flow? I'm gonna say it so many times tonight. It's gonna flow perfect. Wynia. Oh, and of course my phone's like not on. Sorry guys, close up. Let me just put this on vibrate so that you guys don't have to listen to this. There we go. I think it was Carity who was texting me. Darn you, Carity. All right. So tonight, you guys, we have an incredible treat. We're going to get to pick the brain of someone who has done exceptional things in the last couple of years alone. And I cannot wait to list all these things for you guys. But first, I want you to get into the right mindset for this. So let me bring my notes over here real quick. All right. So just like I talked about in the group, you guys, I want you to imagine that you woke up a year from now and your business was one of the fastest growing and most impacting in the company. And imagine how it would feel to coach people who are excited to work with you and dominate dreams with you. And now imagine looking back on 2018 and feeling like you lived into your purpose, your energy, your drive. And now imagine if you had access to someone who has all of that and you got to spend a whole hour with them. And that's what we have tonight. Lindsey is in the house with us, and she is going to be able to just be in our space and be subjected to our crazy questions and our digging and our like, we just want to know it all. And she's incredible. So we're going to jump right into it. But I want to introduce you guys to her and give you a few pointers just so you kind of have a frame of reference. I know you guys know like who she is, but I don't know that you all know actually what she's accomplished. And this is the summarized version. Okay. So I know you may know things about her that I'm not about to list, but otherwise we'd be here all night just listing all the things she's achieved. We want to know how she did it. So that's what we're going to get into in a second. But she is an A-star Golden Circle, 6-star Crystal Executive. So for those who are still learning what all these things mean, A-star Golden Circle has to do with the amount of income that she's making, residual income. 6-star Crystal Executive has to do with how many people she's personally enrolled that she's also helped develop to executive. Okay, so she's personally developed 6 executives. Now, that does not mean that those are the only executives she's developed, but those are her personally enrolled that she's developed, right, Lindsey? I'm sure. What would the number actually be if it was every single person you developed? Like
probably 10.
Probably 10, right? That's how it works, right? So, but A-star Golden Circle, 6-star Crystal Executive.
Stars. I want an honorary star.
you can have, okay, Lindsey, you can have however many stars you want on this call tonight. Whatever you want your rank to be, you can have it all, okay? So not only that, but you guys, she was #1 in President's Quest. And if you're not sure what that is, all these different promotions and things that Isagenix puts on are incredible. And they have to do with literal income producing activities. Like, what are the things that you're doing to grow your business? And those are the things that those promotions are based on. So #1 in the whole company in President's Quest, #1 leader in action 2 years running. You know, when they're listing those at New Year kickoff, you saw her name this last year if you were there last month. She was #2 in ISA Derby, another one of those promotions that Isagenix puts on that has to do with income producing activities and business growth. And you guys know that championship challenge where everyone had their like teams and they're going to the Caribbean and it's awesome. Yeah, she #1 team. I mean, no big deal. Should I have dropped the mic already? We haven't even started the call. Amazing. Okay, those are her Isagenix achievements. So what got her to that place? She has 5 kids. She's been married for 17 years this year. She lives in Southern California. So I know it looks like it's like dark and gloomy where she is, but no, that's a lie. Like it's going to be, she'll wake up tomorrow and the sun will be out. Jerk. It's okay. And then I asked Lindsey, I was like, what's the best thing about being Lindsey? And she said that she gets to wake up every day and she feels like she gets to live out her passion every single day. And she described it as feeling like heaven. She loves coaching people and helping them find success. And that's the best thing about being Lindsey. So she's here tonight to do that for us. All right. So we have a couple introduction questions for you, Lindsey. First of all, can we just get like, look at the chat. Like, oh my gosh. People are like, wait, I knew she was awesome, but what? Who is this lady? She's a robot, you guys. Okay. So couple introduction questions for you, Lindsey. You ready? Can I fire them at you? Okay, perfect. I'm going to pin your video so that we can see your beautiful face. All right, Missy. Okay, so Lindsey, to start us out, please share your story of how you got started with Isagenix. First impressions of Isagenix, did you jump in or did you dip your toe in? lay the scene for them, because I've heard your story before and it makes me chuckle every time. So go for it.
So, actually, you may not even know the full story. I edit stories for different people. So
Don't edit. Don't hold back.
the full story. But I used to actually live in Arizona about 7 or 8 years ago, and the then sales director, who would be the equivalent to Travis Garza, who wasn't Travis Garza at the time, offered me a 30-day system. I actually met him, and he was like, "You would just do so great at this. You ought to try this system. It'd be so awesome." And I was like, "Great, free product, okay." And he let me have a 30-day system. He didn't coach me. He just handed me the box. I read the booklet that says, "Eat the snacks for your snack time." And I'm 6'2". I know you can't tell that I'm tall on this, but like for me, 2 shakes and 2 of those little snack wafers a day, or 4 of those little snack wafers a day, like I was literally starving to death, like literally. And I didn't know that like you had to eat more and blah, 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 blah. I just didn't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And of course I lost weight because I was literally starving to death. And he was like, and like, he never really followed up with me either, but like, if he would have, I would have said that was pretty much just starvation. Like, no way would I ever sell that to anybody. And I never took ionics, and I never cleansed. So I wasn't a great, this to me, like what this story is about is how important coaching is, because you really have to have a coach. Someone has to be telling you how to use the product. I'm sorry. I wish it was more plug and play, but it's just not. You have to be a good coach. So anyway, so a few years later, exactly 2.5 years ago, a friend of mine was posting on Facebook, and I said, "What are you doing?" And I have had 5 kids, and I have held on to about 15 pounds for every child I had. I was 75 pounds overweight, and I had already started to lose some of the weight. I had my last child at 40. Just don't recommend it for anyone who's considering it. Just pass that one on by. Just don't do it. But I decided that I, was struggling. I was losing maybe like half a pound a week, like counting calories, working my butt off like crazy in the gym. And so even though I had lost about 30 pounds of that 75, I was still seeking a solution. Absolutely. I mean, I knew I had 45 to go. And, I always call it like your mommy weight. Like I always just thought, I just want to lose like 20 more pounds when I start Isagenix. And so whenever I talk to people, I'm always like, "So how much do you want to lose?" And they give me a number. And then I say, "Okay, how much do you really want to lose?" Because I feel like all of us have like this, like, number that we'd be happy with, but it's not like the real number that we want. And so I was still looking, tried it. I refused to sign up with anything more than a 9-day.
I was that person, you guys.
I was that person, you guys. I wouldn't. I was like, "No, it's too expensive." And like, she couldn't overcome my concerns. And so she did it. And then I was a scared cleanser. So I was terrified of cleansing. Terrified. That's why I didn't do it with the first box. I was like, "That's crazy. Like, who does that?" And but the coaching page, so we had like a product coaching page, and everyone on there talked about cleansing all the time and how awesome it was. And I just thought it was weird. Like, these people are weird. Either they're all lying and talking about how great cleansing is, or I just need to try it. So I tried it once, and I had incredible results, like incredible, insane, amazing results. And did like one post on Facebook, because I was open already. Like, I had been posting on Facebook for a year about how I was trying to lose weight. So that came very naturally to me. And I got some people signed up, and in the very first month I shared. So I actually signed up in May of 2015, but I actually didn't start sharing until August. August like 3rd or 4th is when I signed my very first pack. And I ran to executive. So I hit my executive bonus, but that was the only one I made because everything else had already passed by. And I was definitely like passionate from the very start, because this was so effective. Like, if you've gone from losing half a pound a week to losing, 5 to 7 pounds a week, like, life changing. Not only that, but like all the other benefits, like feeling good. And, I had 5 kids, so I need ionics on tap pretty much through an IV every day. So, I mean, it was just a major game changer for me. I was like, after that cleanse and after about a month of Ionics, I was like, pretty much I'm never not putting this stuff in my system. So I guess I should just tell people about it.
Yeah. So tell me about, because I've heard bits and pieces before, so I'm going to like field you some question of things that I'm like, I know there's more, Lindsey. So I want to know about your first event. When you tell me about celebration, Lindsey. Tell me how that went down. Your first celebration, was it your first event ever?
That was my first event ever, and it was in San Diego. And I actually, my enrolling sponsor was coming into town, and it's like literally like an hour away from my house. But I was like, I didn't have a ticket, but they got me one. And I didn't have any plans to really go to any of the meetings because they were during the day and it was during the week and my husband was still working and I hadn't made arrangements. But there was a party one night and I went to the party. So that's the extent of it that I went to. But something really pivotal, and you know what, this is like a really good reason of why to get people to events, right? Because a lot of times it has nothing to do with what they learn. It has everything to do with how they feel when they're there. And I went to that party and everyone was just having such a great time. And I was like, oh, these people are so fun. And after that, we went to dinner. And I was at dinner with Tanya Kirkpatrick and Trudy and a couple other Isagenix leaders. And those are my upline. And I just happened to be at dinner with them. And I just sat there and it was an epiphany. Like, I can't really explain it any other way than to just say, it just hit me. Mm-hmm. And I looked around at the table, and at the time, I think Tanya was maybe a 5-star or something like that. And I just thought, I can do what she does. Like, it's not so out of my ability. I know how to work hard. I know how to talk to people. I can do this. And I just had that moment where I realized that it was, I could do it if I wanted. And my husband and I at that time owned a brick and mortar pizza store. And I remember calling him one night at 1 a.m. that night on my way home from San Diego. And I said, I think I'm going to do Isagenix as a business. And I was actually currently working for him with our business. Yeah. And, you know, he didn't say no. I'm sure that he just was wondering what on earth was happening. But he didn't say no. He's always been incredibly supportive of me. And I think he's just smart enough to not to tell me no. But I just started. And I really didn't have any goals or expectations, or I just wanted to run at it. Like, I just wanted to give it my all and kind of just see what happened, because I saw the potential for sure. So I kind of just jumped in.
So would you say that dinner, like the dinner with Trudy and Tanya and everybody, would you say that dinner was when you really, like, you got it as far as the business goes? Like, you were already, obviously, like, the product experience the second time around was way different. And you realized that the IV drip of Ionics was enough. Like, you could have probably built your business on that alone. But, like, was that when you got it, or when did you get that this business was actually a viable thing for you? Like, when did that happen?
I think that, you know, when I had hit my Crystal executive bonus, and I had, you know, hit all the goals that I really intended to hit. And I think when I really just looked at my first 4 months of income, and I had made about $20,000, I was just like, this is crazy. Like, who makes this kind of money? And I was having such a great time with it. And prior to starting Isagenix, we were very, very paycheck to paycheck. I mean, I've told stories before where writing, you know, checks for swimming lesson for $150 would stress me out. Yeah. And, you know, things like that. And during that time, so during that 4-month period, literally every appliance in our house broke. The garage door, the washing machine, the 2 air conditioning units, the microwave. And I paid for every single thing that broke in cash. And that was just wild to me, like to have that not be hanging over my head and not having to finance, you know, maybe those things. And I think that's really when it dawned on me that there was an incredible opportunity. Plus, you all know Tanya Kirkpatrick and what a master she is at casting that vision all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I really just took that vision. She, you know, I'm sure you've heard it said before, but you kind of borrow other people's belief. And I took that and I believed her. I believed her. I believed her that it wasn't just for her, or it wasn't just a flash in the pan. I believed her that anyone could do it if they really wanted to. And that was really what compelled me.
Yeah, I love that. Well, because I think it's so powerful because it does happen at different times for different people. Like some people, they go to an event and they're immediately like, I'm going to be a millionaire. You know, you hear that story all the time, but I think that can be misleading because that's not every successful person's story. I think most people, it happens like it did for you, Lindsey, very just organically. And then all of a sudden you realize that you can live life differently than you did before Isagenix. Because before Isagenix, you had to finance all those broken appliances. And because of a broken garage door opener, you're like, wait a minute, this is different. And that's really why it's so important. Wouldn't you say, like, getting people paid? Like, get your people paid. It makes so much sense. Absolutely. Okay, so the last kind of like I know these are just intro questions, just you wait. But the last like intro question that we really want to know is, when you first started, like, what was your why in the beginning, and how has that evolved over the last few years? Because this, actually, first, how long have you been in Isagenix? That would be 3 years. Is that right?
Not till May 18th.
May 18th will be 3 years. I mean, okay, that's amazing. No, I'm like, gosh, I'm doing the math. Okay, so in the beginning, so 3 years ago, what was your why then, and how has that evolved as you've been hitting different milestones and creating a bigger income for your family?
Well, as entrepreneurs, like, we were entrepreneurs already. We had big dreams. I think anyone who's an entrepreneur goes into a business, you know, hoping that they're going to be able to accomplish what they want, which is like just time freedom, the ability to do what you want when you want.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's funny because when you actually open like a brick and mortar store, that's like the furthest thing from reality.
Yeah.
And having never done that before, we didn't really know. I mean, you kind of hope that you'll be able to build up a management staff or whatever, but it takes a long time to do that. And we were in about year 3 or 4 when I ran into Isagenix, and things were not panning out like we had hoped. You know, we were kind of on a 5-year plan. We were kind of like, we're going to do this for 5 years, and if it doesn't really turn into what we want, then we'll reconsider things. And we were like on year 3.5. So, and I was like, okay, like this is not where I thought we would be in 3.5 years. And I didn't really express that to my husband. I didn't want to like deflate him or anything, but I think in the back of my head, I just thought, I don't know if this is really going to end up where we want it to be. And so Isagenix was truly, truly my plan B. It was my plan B. I think it became his plan B later. He was still very like, oh, we'll see. Yeah, okay, yeah, honey, you go be an Isagenix millionaire. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do that. But I feel like as I continue to have success, his belief continued to build, and you know, he totally gets it now. But it was, I mean, like everyone, like we all start with that like shade of doubt, and you're just like, you know, that's just for special people, whatever.
Right.
But honestly, that is one of my passions, is helping people understand that it is not just for special people. Anyone who wants to can make a 6-figure income with Isagenix pretty easily, in my opinion, if they want to. And we have this, I think at Celebration, we will have 4 6-figure income earners on our team, which I'm super excited about, but not including myself. So that really floats my boat, because that's what I want to give to other people. Yeah. That's kind of what my passion is now shifted to.
That's awesome. Well, and I think that's like, I love that that's Kathy's vision for Isagenix, but that bleeds out into all of our businesses. Like, I see all these faces across my screen right now, and I want nothing more for them than to have all the success that they could possibly want. because I know that they can have it. And so for you to be here pouring that kind of love and value into them too, it's like, it makes me love you even more that you're making time for these people, because these are my people, you know, just like you would feel if someone was making time for your people. So that's incredible, Lindsey. All right, you guys, we're going to dig a little bit deeper with Lindsey. So I want to remind you, this is recorded, but take notes. And if you have questions, like if she's answering a question and you're like, "Ooh, can you dig deeper on that? You scraped over it, but I really want to know more about that." This is your opportunity. You can put it in the chat, or if you're on a computer, you have, I think on a phone too, you have that raise hand option, and I will see that you raised your hand, and I can call on you and you can ask Lindsey your question. So keep in mind, we're going to try to only keep her for another 30 minutes. So we'll talk fast, but who knows? When Lindsey has to go, we'll go. But okay, so
children screaming yet, we're good.
Yes, as long as all the children are nothing's burning yet. We're good. Okay, so digging in a little bit deeper. So Lindsey, when people see your accomplishments, it can be really easy for them to see that you're just like an anomaly, or you have it all together, that you're special, like you just talked about, right? So talk to us a little bit more about like the real story behind getting to where you are today, like that grit that it takes. And feel free to share a couple of those wall kicking moments, because as I'm sure you can remember, when you were cycling once a week and 5 times a week and 10 times a week, were there times where it just felt like, is this going to actually happen? And what were those, like, what is that real story behind it? Because we see you here looking beautiful, making a ton of money, and we're like, oh, did she just like wake up and decide to be an 8-star? I mean, so tell us more of those stories.
So I am really about transparency, and I want people to know what it takes so that they can get there. So the first thing I really want to share with you is numbers, because I feel like if you know really, truly what it takes to get there, then you can either make a decision to do it or not. I don't track how many conversations I have, but I know that I've enrolled about 300 people, and that's in 2.5 years. And I consistently enrolled, I would say, on average about 10 people a month for those 2.5 years. So, somewhere between, 7 to 12 in any given month. I've always been filling my funnel. I use social media for the most part. I spend a lot of time making those connections and following up and doing all of the actual, busy work, if you want to call it. And here's what I found. The problem is, I think you've been in my business page, Rachel, but I made this video the other night because it really is kind of a bee in my bonnet right now. But the problem is that people don't realize how much work goes into getting to that point. So people are so used and accustomed to trading time for money. They want to, clock in and then clock out and then not have to work when they're clocked out. And an Isagenix business just doesn't run that way. You have to take every single pocket of time that you have and use that to be making connections. I'm going to have an honest moment with you and tell you I have not watched TV in 2.5 years. None. Not a single series, not a single nothing. Maybe the first 6 months I watched like my favorite recorded shows, maybe. But within that 6-month mark, like I seriously in the past 2 years have not watched even a single TV show. And, I honestly just don't even care anymore. Like I'd rather be following up with people. I don't know. Like it's really that's just what it's turned into. It's just turned into a passion. So just be realistic with yourself. If you have to, take that time to unwind or to do that, then that's fine. But anything that you do that's not spent towards building your business is going to be taking away from your business. And, out of those 300 people, I got to executive after I had enrolled about 30 or 40 people, probably about 30. So, when people come to me, they're like, I'm so frustrated. I can't get to executive. I'm like, how many people have you enrolled? And they're like, 10. And I'm like, no, you can't get to executive by enrolling 10 people. Really, you need to be enrolling 20 or 30 to 40 people to get to executive, because statistically speaking, you're going to be able to convert about 30% of those to consultant. And my standard is making sure everyone gets to consultant. And even as strong as I feel about it, and even as hard as I work at creating consultants, and even as sure as I am that every single person I enroll is going to become a consultant, guess what? it's still only about 3 or 4 out of 10. even though I'm 100% sure and I do everything in my power to get them to share, that's still what the number is. So that being said, like that should be a real reality check. And I consider myself very, very good at creating consultants. I've created about 57 consultants, out of those 300 people. So, but that's really the reality of it. So if you want to get to a goal, you have to know the math and you have to do the action steps that it takes to get there. Now, am I saying that like someone who has 10 active happy product users can't get to consult or get to executive? I'm actually not saying that. Like I truly believe you can do whatever you put your mind to, honestly. But I'm just saying, statistically speaking, people don't realize how much footwork you have to do to get where you want to be. And when I say footwork, I just mean it takes a lot of time. And you were there for the event, and I absolutely love that event, Rachel. Mm-hmm. Not because I learned a ton of new things, but because he finally put definitions to what I do. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite things that he said that I do all the time is pushing people across their invisible line. Mm-hmm. And I've done it this whole time. I didn't know it was a thing. When he said it, I was like, oh, that's what it is. But I've always been committed to getting people, like I said, to consultant. And if they are a consultant, I push them to manager. And if they're a manager, I push them to director. And I'm always talking to them about the next step. And sometimes it's comfortable for them and sometimes it's not. And it's okay because everyone's going to do it on a different timeline. But, I'm constantly working on pushing people to the next step for sure.
I love that. So kind of bleeding into that next question a little bit, when did you, because you laid a lot on me right there. So going back to like the first part of what you said with the numbers and everything. So at what point did you start to see growth and progress? Because we hear all the time, residual income does not happen overnight, right? It takes time. So at what point did you start to notice that you were cycling consistently? And then how long did it take, or how much effort did it take to hit 1-star and then 2-star? Like, did you notice, obviously it's the same activities, but like, what is that time frame that you noticed for yourself to reach those different benchmarks before it really took off?
So I got to 2-star fairly quickly. I feel like once you hit executive, and if you get 3 or 4 or 5 people to manager, like 2-star happens pretty naturally. It seems to me like that's kind of standard with my team as well. Like everyone can get to 2-star. 2-star is an incredible income. 2-star is $106,000 a year. I mean, that's fantastic. And so I really like 2-star, but I feel like it's 2-star that people get hung up on. I feel like that at that point they're kind of like, now what? Mm-hmm. And that's truly when you have to start creating executives. And if you were at Celebration last year, one of my favorite talks, and it's on demand right now in your back office, was by Lisa DeMayo and Susan Sly. And they laid out the perfect formula. You guys, so grateful for this company because I am truly a conglomeration of all of my Isagenix leaders. I seriously, like, you could probably nail me on every single thing I say. Oh, so-and-so said that. Oh, so-and-so said that. But like, truly, I am a forever student. I love listening to trainers, and I will seriously listen to trainings all day, all night. I love it. So, and I just pick and choose what really resonates with me. So one of the things they said, and it fits perfectly with the statistics I just gave you, but you really want to develop, if you want to create executives on a regular basis, you need to develop 5 to 6 managers a year, 3 to 4 directors, and about 1 executive. That's the statistic. Clearly, you need a large group of people to do that with, probably, gosh, I'd say close to 75 or something like that, like quite a few people to work with. So you're going to have to get your work done with your enrollments. And then the other portion of that is being a good coach and retaining your customers and doing all of that, because we all know that people drop off whether you want them to or not. But that, that pattern, it's a pattern. And if you do it consistently, so you know how it takes time to build the funnel of enrolling. So you have to put like 200 people in the funnel, and you can get pretty consistently 1 or 2 to pop out every week. Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with rank advancing people. You got to push everyone in the funnel, and people pop out of the bottom at about the same rate. So, and someone asked, how do you push people to the next step without making them feel pushed? You don't. You push them. Okay. And look. I'm not telling you to like push someone who has said, I never want to do an Isagenix business. But if they come to you and say, I want to do Isagenix as business, I hate to break this to you, but you got to push them. It's like the ugly truth, but I'm not kidding. Like there's not a single, and I tease my executives to death about this, but I'll nail them all the time on calls and I'll be like, well, you should have seen what I had to do to get Missy to executive. Missy's my 5-star, okay? She's an incredible leader. She's going to Maui and she's just amazing. But I literally will nail her to the wall all the time. And I will be like, I had to beg her. I had to push her. It was like the last day before the crystal reset ended. I was like on the phone with her. I was like, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do this? You know, and she literally did it on like the very last day. And I had 2 consultants that way. And like, you want to slap them, but like, I'm serious. There is no not pushing. Like you you really have to push people. And here's the thing, like, go ahead and go ask them if they hate me for it. You know?
I was going to say, I bet if you ask Missy right now, and I can tell because we had a Zoom call with her last week, I bet she does not regret you being annoying. Like, I'm sure in the moment she was like, oh my gosh, Lindsey, like back off. But now she's probably like, oh my God, Lindsey, thank you.
You know, so it's like a fallacy to think that you can do that without pushing people. You literally do have to push people. And I'll give you one other great example who's going to be in Spokane too. These are my 2 Spokane leaders. So if you guys ever run into them, you can make fun of them. But Jessica Romney is another favorite story of mine. She seriously used the product for like a good 6 or 7 months. And every month I would call her and I would say, hey, Jessica, if you enroll 2 people today, you'll earn $300. Hey, Jessica, if you enroll 2 people today, you'll enroll $400. Hey, Jessica, if you enroll 2 people today, you'll earn $600. And finally, like when the amount was about $600 or $700, she would ignore a text. You know, she was that person, you guys. She would ignore a text. She wouldn't reply. And she totally laughs now when people don't reply to her. She's like, yeah, I did that. But, you know, she was that person. And finally, the dollar amount was just big enough that it pushed her over the invisible line. But, you know, especially now with Customer First, you have to make people associates. You really do. You have to make them associates in order to be able to even have that conversation. But I pushed her over the invisible line. And it was literally the same way the whole way. So she naturally enrolled like 40 people just because she is who she is and because people trust her and because she's been on every diet known to man. And so, you know, she enrolled about 40 people and I said, and she seriously has incredible retention, just insane retention. And I was like, why don't you get to executive? I'm like, all these people have banked volume. Why don't you do the same thing to all of them that I did to you? And she was like, okay. And then I literally just pushed her over the invisible line over and over and over again. And then, you know, here she is, a 2-star executive. She earned the number 30 spot on the cruise ship challenge. So she got the junior suite with $1,500 spending money. She's going to the step up to 2-star retreat in Arizona. She's an incredible leader. But I seriously pushed her the whole way. Don't kid yourself. Like I'm all over her like a wet blanket. But she's, you know, she's there now. And like now I don't really have to push her or Missy.
Sure.
But, you know, I feel like honestly, like, I mean, I definitely leave people where they are. I will say this, like, if I'm pushing someone, if they're not doing anything toward their goal, like if I reach out to them, I say, look, based on this, you could be a director by, you know, 2 weeks from now. Like convert this person to consultant. You could be a director and be in the pools. And I give them a deadline and say, you really, honestly, truthfully could hit it by this date. You should do that. And if they don't put any effort to it, like I'm not going to have that conversation again. But most people are like, oh, I can't? Oh, you think I could do that? Okay. I'll try to do it. And they get all excited and you push with them, you get excited with them and you tell them they can do it and it happens. And you know, and then there's some people who you say, like, you guys, I have like 5 people who could be a manager like tomorrow. And guess what? I've seriously had a zillion conversations with all of them and they're still not managers. And I'm like, really? I'm going to blow my brains out, but whatever. Like you can't, You can't make anyone do it. You just can't. So I'm just waiting. And someday they'll call me and they'll be like, I think I'm ready to become a manager today. And I'll be like, let's do this. But like, until then, whatever, it's fine. I will say this, like statistically speaking, not everyone's going to do it. So you can't get frustrated when people don't. So what you do have to do is you have to keep enrolling so you have a pool of people to choose from. So many people get hung up on their dead ends and they stay there forever. And I'm just like, you know what? Go find someone else. There's someone else out there who wants it. So just go find someone else.
Absolutely. I love that truth that you're speaking into this, because it's so true. Like we want this more for some people than they want it for themselves, but it's putting your energy where your energy is needed and wanted. And I forget exactly how Eric Worre said it, but it was basically that, at that event, he was talking about how you have to, like, you match energy for energy, but it's like, who deserves your energy right now? Like, who's going? What's that?
The people who are working.
Yeah, the people who, when you say, hey, you could get to director like Saturday, do you want to do this? And they're like, yeah, I'm freaked out, but let's do it. Then those are the people that you just focus on for those few days and you get them there for sure. So I want to transition a little bit. We had a gal who is really new to the business, is like so enamored with the idea of doing this. And then there's some hesitation. So I'm not going to call her out, but I have a couple questions on her behalf. So as just getting started, like what would be your number one tip for a brand new business builder? And then just to give you a little context, she also just recently attempted a 20 and 30. And that's where this next question comes in, is what would your approach be for following up with your warm market when they've deflected or avoided the Isagenix conversation that first time? So I know it's kind of like a twofold question, but that's been her experience. And she's a brand new business builder. And even after really putting in a lot of effort to reach out to a lot of people, a lot of crickets. And so what would be your tip for someone who's in that situation, brand new, like really wants it, and then tips on how to kind of re-engage with your warm market, if at all?
So clearly a lot of conversations have to happen. And if the conversations aren't happening, like if she's reached out to a bunch of people and they're like, no, or they just don't even give her the time of day, or they don't even allow her to have a conversation, I would go back to those people. This is really genius, you guys. One of my people started doing this, but they were just asking. So they were calling their friends and they'd be like, hey, like, I need to, I learned something new and I really just need to practice. Do you mind if I just practice on you? And they were doing that value pack presentation, Rachel, that I showed to you.
Oh yeah.
And they were just practicing it on their friends. They're like, hey, can I just practice with you? Like, would you mind being an ear for me and practicing and just being honest with me and telling me what you think? And if you felt weird, and just giving me honest feedback. And they did that. And they seriously have been getting enrollments off of it, because your friends and family, and Eric Worre said this, and this was something that was really powerful for me, because we're so great at telling our Isagenix story, but we kind of suck at telling our financial stories. And Eric Worre, because he was training, because he trains all sorts of network marketers, he can't really train you on how to tell your network marketing story, because everyone works with a different company. So his focus is, you need to be telling your financial story. And when people resonate with that pain, when people understand why you're doing what you're doing, they're going to be a lot more understanding. And Eric Worre challenged us at the meeting to tell your financial story to 100 people with no desire to enroll them, or just like nothing attached to the outcome. And I feel like that is a really powerful way to either just get your warm market behind you, like to get them encouraging, even if they don't sign up. But if you go to them and just tell them sincerely your story, why you're doing what you're doing, and really help them understand your pain points, because everyone can relate to pain points, then I feel like at the very least, you're going to have people rooting for you, who might send you referrals, who might even sign up with you because they really understand where you're coming from. I don't know about you, Rachel, but I thought that was super, super, super powerful when he taught that. So if you haven't taught that in your team yet, she can teach you how to share your financial story, because he did have a blueprint for that. And I just thought it was powerful. So, if you're getting crickets and people aren't responding, I would just reach back out and either say like, hey, can I practice this on you? I need some practice. Or I would just tell them your financial story and really dig deep about why you're doing what you're doing. I mean, people cannot deny you your feelings, you know? I mean, if they're your emotions and your feelings, they're just going to listen. And at the very least, they'll get behind you and support you with what you're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that she's super appreciative of that feedback, because it can be discouraging, to put out all this effort and you have these high hopes of what's going to happen. And then when it doesn't, especially when you're brand new, like if that happened to me now, I've been in long enough and I'm making enough money to know like, okay, I'm like off my game or something's happening. But for someone who has not enrolled anyone yet, that can feel like, okay, maybe this isn't the right fit for me. So that's great tangible steps. It kind of goes into our next question, which is actually from one of my, oh yeah, go ahead. No, you're
I
fine.
just feel like too, sometimes when you're brand new, you're kind of ignorance on fire and you don't really know how to resolve people's concerns or how to, you do more talking than listening. And what I have found is that really to be successful in this business, you have to do more listening than talking. And when you're brand new, we tend to do more talking because we're super excited about what we're doing or what, how we feel. And we kind of forget that piece. So I would also maybe have Rachel role play with you on how to do more listening than talking, because even though it's not the same, that's not the same tactic as reaching out to your warm market, because typically you would have someone, you would stand in that position with someone who comes to you. But I feel like it's an important skill to learn for sure.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you for adding that, Lindsay. All right, you guys, before we get into the next question, just throw like what has been even just one thing, just pick one. I mean, I can't stop you, it's the chat, but pick one or more things that have just really resonated with you, something that you know is going to help shift your business. Throw it in the chat so that Lindsay can see, because the best gift that you can give to someone, especially someone who's not financially linked to us, but the best gift that you can give them as a mentor is showing them that you're taking the energy that they're giving to you and you're going to put it to work. So that is the best gift you can give to Lindsay. So show her, what are the things so far? And I mean, trust me, I got a few doozy questions coming up, but what are the things so far that you're excited to implement into your business? All right, so Lindsay, the next one is actually from one of my executives, and this is something that she's run into lately. But how do you deal emotionally, or with some action steps, but how do you deal when someone goes MIA on you? Like they stop responding to calls or texts and never really gave you an answer as to why, like literally rogue. They're just, whether it be someone who wants to get started or someone who says they want to build the business and they go rogue. What is your mindset going into that? How do you deal with that emotionally? What are the actions you take or don't take?
I sing to my leaders. Would you like me to sing you the song?
Yeah, please.
Let it go, let it go. There's nothing else you can do. Oh, let it go. No, I seriously sing "Let It Go" to them. Like I'll hop on Marco Polo and I'll sing to them. I'll sing to them in Messenger. You know what, guys? Who cares? Let it go. Like just find someone else. Like I said, I feel like people hang on too long to deadbeats. Just let them go. If they decide later to come back and crush it, great. But like until then, just move on.
Yeah. So Lindsay, why do you think people hang on to those deadbeats? Like what is that keeps people with, like, they just will not, like, even one little finger dug into that person? Like why do people hang on?
I think desperation. I think they're afraid they're not going to find somebody else.
Yeah.
But it's so not true, you guys. It's so not true. You have to remember it's a statistics game. So you know what? If just like Eric says, like if you want to take your business to the next level, enroll your next crop of 20 people. That's the thing, is that you just can't hang your hat on a set of people. Let me just tell you a story really quick. The other day, I was in Messenger, like Facebook Messenger, and I was looking for a group that I was in, and I typed in a name, and my very first executive like group chat came up, and like no one was in my business anymore, really. I mean, there was like
Yeah.
3 people maybe, and one of them's like still a manager 2.5 years later. Maybe she falls in and out of manager. One of them got to executive, but then went MIA. Think about that for a second. And then and like one of them, I don't even know, like seriously, like out of 10 or 12 people, like 2 or 3 were sticking around. And that's like statistics. People, remember I just said the same statistic for becoming consultant applies to getting to the next step. So literally like 1 out of 10 people is, so 1 out of 10 consultants, let's say, is really going to get to executive. So I don't know, lower your standards a little bit. Don't do that, but just be realistic. And I feel like sometimes we hang on to those dogs because we're afraid. And instead of being afraid, just go find new people who want to work with you and want to do it. Because I have found that, you know what? It's okay to just let people be where they are. It's just okay. It's just, you don't have to drag everybody. You don't.
Yeah. I love that. Lindsey, do you mind if we hang on to you for like 10 or 15 more minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. As long kids are good, house isn't burning.
I don't hear any screaming.
Okay, perfect. So kind of on that note, when you think about your business builders now, looking back, because obviously retrospect is way easier, right? What did you shift in yourself to attract the people who are currently your business builders versus like your original executive group where they're all kind of like, hanging out in whatever weird limbo that they're in. But like, what shifted in you to attract these people? Because we know that's what it is, right? It's like, you don't just like go looking for business builders, or do you? So what was that for you? How did you attract these business builders into your business?
This is a really interesting concept because I'm not from a network marketing background. And so I actually don't really feel like I attract business builders per se. I attract really passionate product users. And I really do just push them over the invisible line. So I look at like maybe Laura Stevens, who attracts business builders. And here's the newsflash, you guys. I heard it out of her own mouth. She did not come to Isagenix for the product. She came for the opportunity. And when she said that, I heard her say those words out of her very own mouth. And I was literally like, I seriously could not believe it, because like that wasn't me at all. And so just think for a minute, you're most likely going to attract people like you. And, I'm definitely, I didn't really I feel like I attract a lot of people like me. Like they're totally passionate about product, but they really weren't intending to build a business. But because they liked it so much, they kind of ended up building a business. And that is seriously like my whole team. I kid you not. They're all like these people who just are crazy passionate about the product, and they just decide kind of happenstance to build a business. And because, we have the leadership that we have, and because we have the duplication that we have, like it can happen. But there's a reason why Laura has 24 executives and I have 6. It's just, I didn't really come here to build a business. And I think it's okay. Like, it's okay to not be Laura or whoever else. Like, I'm not Laura. I'm definitely not as perky or, I think too many times we look at the leaders, and I kind of feel like,
real talk, Lindsey, it's okay.
I was just gonna say, like, I wish they'd give us a little variety. That's what I will say, because I feel like there are other people who do just fine, and they're not like her. Like, they're different, and it's okay. And here's what I really want to say is that there's a lot of ways to skin this cat, so no, I don't make as much as Laura, but I'm successful. I'm pretty happy with my income. I'm sure most of you would be really happy with my income. Yep. So, I do a little bit with a lot of people. Laura does a lot with a little bit of people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have probably more consultants and more managers maybe than Laura. Not this, I don't even know this. I can't prove this, but like, I'm just saying, like,
Sure.
I feel like I'm fine with having a lot of consultants and having a lot of managers, because here's the truth of the matter is when you get your people paid, even just once, you'll retain them for over a year. And if you actually can get them to manager, like 2 years ago, Eric Worre spoke at Celebration about being a manager factory. Well, you know, Laura's an executive factory and that's great, but I'm a manager factory. And you know what? It doesn't suck. So, you know, you can be a manager factory, and that creates a lot of stability in your organization, because I have people, literally, I was just having this conversation today. I love how things happen. But I was like, I seriously have like 7 people in my organization. Like, I mean, how many consultants did I tell you I had? Like 57?
57, yeah.
That's probably even a bigger number. It's probably like 20 people who make between $300 to $600 a month every single month. Every single month. Like forever. And, you know, are they ever going to make more than that? Probably not. But like literally, they're never going to stop using Isagenix because they get their products paid for every single month. And they're happy, and I'm happy. And so, you know, you can do a lot with a little. Like, I just feel like if you're really consistent about getting people to consultant and maybe getting people to manager, you'll have an incredibly stable organization of people who are happy and getting paid and, you know, getting their products for free. They're never going to quit. And because why would they? They get they get $600 every month and they pay for all their Isagenix products with it. I mean, it would be crazy. So the more of that stability you can create, the better off you are. So I just have a lot of that stability, and I have like 6 executives, you know? So, yeah, out of those 57 consultants, you know, 6 are executives. So do the math, you guys. It's a percent, 10%, you know? So it's statistically, that's how it shakes. Honestly.
I love it. Okay, anyone else feel liberated by that? Because I agree, we talk about this on our calls too, that when you see these people up on stage and they're, you know, telling these massive stories and they're like, I developed 4,000 executives in a week, and you're like, how? Like, and they're like, just do the do. What does that even mean? I think that even though that's all true, it's so much more liberating to hear you can just have like a crap ton of managers. And if they're happy,
isn't it liberating? It's the truth.
It's liberating. Well, because you just don't hear that story enough, you know. And so I appreciate you being real with us, because that's what these people need. Because like even where I'm at, I know so many of them would like to be making the money I'm making, but I don't want to stop. I know that when they get here, they're gonna feel like I feel, where they're like, no, keep going. Like I know there's still more. There's just still more out there for me, and it's just liberating to be able to tell them, like, you don't have to develop 4,000 executives. If people want to go executive, you better be giving them that attention. But if they're happy at manager, great. And so Jacqueline had asked a follow-up question: where would you draw the line between pushing and dragging people? And Lindsey, if you could just address that real quick, because I know that is, if you've never experienced both sides of that, it's hard to kind of know the difference. If you could quick touch on that, that'd be great.
It's literally action. So if someone says to you, I want to do the business, and you're actively helping them, and then I do what's called like a back office chat, where I'll review what they've got, and I'll give them an honest analysis of how, like, where they can get. So like I said, if I'm looking at their back office and they have 20, you know, active product users, I'm going to be saying, like, you could get to executive. This statistically is good enough to get to executive. And I say, you know, you need to call this person, this person, this person, this person, and you get them to consultant, them to consultant, them to consultant. And I think you can really honestly do it. You know, we have a promotion going this week, so I think you can create 3 consultants at least this week. That gets you halfway to director. I think you probably create 3 more by the end of March. You know, I think that's possible. And if the action doesn't happen, like if they're not doing the calls or whatnot, then I might maybe circle back to them one more time and, you know, kind of find out maybe what happened, what went wrong, what kind of objections they got. But honestly, like past that, you know, it's kind of, it's dragging. And, you know, if I can give someone like real tangible, I did this today. I should like play you the calls. Someone not enrolled to me, who really wants to get to director, you know, I gave her an action plan. She has like 2.5 people. One person like fell out. I gave her an action plan. I said, she's got like 1 pirate. One person can enroll her husband with 50 BV and have a total of 100 BV on one side. And then one person just needs to grab one other freaking person. And then she needs to like dust up one consultant out of all these people who had $200 of banked cycle volume. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is what you need to say to them. Tell them that if they enroll 2 value packs, there's like $700 on the table. And ask them if they're interested in $700. And you can't like make assumptions and, you know, like that people know what they're missing. They don't know. They don't know what they're missing. So unless you're having those conversations and really nailing it down and really telling them what they need to do to get it done, I mean, that's on you. You have to do that. But if they're not going to do it, so I've given her these action steps. I'll report to you guys later. Okay. I gave her a total game plan. Her crystal executive date is February 3rd. I'll let you know if she hits it. But I gave her the action plan, and she's not enrolled to me. So honestly, like if she doesn't hit it, like I'm not going to circle back around to that. But I feel like everyone deserves that talk. And I told her, I was like, you can do this, but you're going to have to make the calls. And here's the other thing. I think people are like texting and being like, you know, you could do this if you just did this. And no, you guys have to talk to them and get them on the phone so they can hear your voice. So they can hear you talking like this and saying, oh my gosh, did you know that you have $700 sitting here? Like, can we make you a consultant already? Because that's nuts. Like, you're just letting it sit there. And like, if you're texting that to them, it's like, it's blank. Like,
yeah,
they have to hear you telling them they're crazy. That's what I do to my people. I'm like, you're nuts. There's like $400 sitting there. Are you sure you don't want to be a consultant? Like, that's what I do.
Amen. There are not enough emojis in the world to get across what you could do over the phone or in person or even like Marco Polo. That's why I love that app so much, because it's like you can get intense with people and they have to watch it because it's recorded. They will watch it, and then they've watched it too. So I'll use all the tools, you guys. We have amazing resources.
My favorite thing is telling people that. So I really do love it.
Is what?
Telling people they're nuts. I'm like, you're crazy.
It's love. It's tough love, you guys. People need to hear that. They need to hear that they're crazy to not want to go after $700.
I'm not, you guys, this is not me. I'm not like, by the way, I just want to let you know that you could earn $700. I really seriously am like, hey, oh my gosh. I just looked at your back office and you know what? This is totally nuts. But like, you could make $700 by the weekend. What does that sound like? You want to try that? Because I could probably check it out. And, you know, I mean, like, if they don't want to, they don't want to. But I will be like, okay, you're crazy. Let me know when you want to do that, you know. Okay,
yeah. I love it. You guys get messy with people. It's okay. You don't have to have this, like, prim, proper response and be all, like, professional. Totally. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Girl, yes. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna quote this question. Okay, well, maybe I don't know. Okay, so I love this one. So many people who are successful talk about focus, right, and how important it is for success. Okay, are these people robots? Because, like, and I'm quoting here, I can't seem to keep my crap together and stay focused. And we're talking like kids, life, marriage, all the things, Lindsey, that you also know about. You've got the 5 kids, you've got the husband. You know, I'm sure he wasn't peaches and cream for 17 years. Like, you know, it's life. So are these people who feel like they just can't stay focused, are they doomed to never be successful? Or like how messy can this actually be and still get to the success that you have?
Oh, it can be real messy.
Okay, good.
But that's the thing. It's like, are you using it as an excuse or is it a reality? You know, are you like, oh, my life's so crazy, I can't do anything? Or is your life really crazy? Like, let's just have an honest moment. You know, sometimes we use our kids more of an excuse than our reason. And my kids are my reason. They are never my excuse. And you better believe that they're out there watching television and videos right now. And you know what? It's life. Like, I got crap to do. And so, you know, do I plunk them out there every night? You know, no. But sometimes that's just how it is. And you know what? I've just had a couple of moments where I just felt like the best thing that I can do for my children is show them that I can be as great as I want to be, and to show them that they can be as great as they want to be. And I feel like if I underlive my potential, I'm really not being a good parent. And you could say all sorts of things about that. You can go round and round and round. But that's just where I'm at right now. That's just where I'm
Yeah.
at. My kids are not babies. So for those of you who have baby, I did have a baby when I started this. He was like 2.5 when I started. But like I also had like, between a 14 and 6-year-old. So I had a lot of helpers too.
Mm-hmm.
But and I did retire my husband about 18 months ago or so. And, he picks up all the slack for sure, like in the parenting department. But I don't see this like as a long-term problem, I see it as a short-term thing where I'm going to really just slay this for the next probably couple of years. And I'll have an incredible business that when I want to push really hard in it, I can. And when I don't, I won't have to. I'm not really at that position yet, but I will be sometime. And yeah, I've probably built harder and faster than most because I was forced to replace an income. So, a lot of people also they underestimate the value of that as well. Their husbands have a great paying job. And so like they feel super comfortable. So there really is no sense of urgency. There was a deadline on my husband's job of our lease being up in October of 2017, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Last year, year before?
It was like, not this October, but like a year ago October. Okay. So whatever year that was.
2016. It's cool.
Yeah, but so like I knew that the lease was coming up, and that was like a deadline. Like I had to be making enough money at that point to support our family. So you guys, there is no amount of, pressure that can, you can exchange for that kind of hustle. Like if you have something that you have to get to, because if you don't, there is no plan B, like no one has that kind of pressure. So the other thing you have to realize is don't compare yourself to me or anybody else, because you really don't know why they pushed so hard or why they got to where they got to. I got there in a year and a half because I had to, and I look at people who, have husbands who have nice paying jobs and they're, not to 6 figures yet. And I'm like, yeah, I don't blame you. Like I probably wouldn't be to 6 figures yet either if I didn't have to really push to get there. Some people's whys are just bigger than yours. And believe it or not, it has a lot to do with it. So, don't compare yourself. Don't, think of yourself as any less because you haven't crushed every challenge from 2.5 years ago. I had to. Eric Worre said in that manager training factory, that manager factory training, he said, all right, if I told you to go out and prospect 10 people, right now, like how many of you would do it? Like be really serious about it and get it done. And he's like, okay, now imagine like I put a gun to your head, like there's a difference. Like
totally.
how you're going to operate when you've got serious pressure on you. If you don't have serious pressure on you, or if you're not creating that for yourself, it's just not going to happen as fast, which is the reality of it. I had pressure. Laura, I think, also felt the same way. I think she felt like she had pressure. She had a real big why. She didn't want her husband in the military anymore. She had a lot of debt or whatever. Like, those are the only things I've heard her bring up, but like, there's a reason why she pushed so hard. And I think sometimes those stories aren't told enough, just like, I had a gun to my head, was that super fun? Not really, but I'm totally happy that I went hard and that I went fast. Did my kids get neglected in the process? Probably. Did I do everything perfectly? Was it ugly? Yeah, it's probably ugly, but but I'm here. And I have, an incredible income. I have a lot more choices now, after a short 2.5 years. I can choose now to do what I want when I want. But But, you know, if you want to get there quickly, it's going to be ugly. It's not going to be pretty.
And I'm so glad you said that, because I think too often we just see the glory, right? We see the people on stage getting the awards, even you, like we see you on stage getting awards and getting all these recognitions, but to hear the story behind it and how you describe it as like it was an ugly mess, you know, and not every moment, but enough to go that fast. It does have to be a little bit messy. And I'm going to call my girl Summer out, but I'm going to go to their house in the next couple of days to help them finish up their ELP. And she's like, just so you know, my house looks like the Tasmanian devil went through it. I'm like, good, you're running for a goal, girlfriend. If your house looks clean, I'm going to be worried. I'm going to be like, where are your priorities?
That was one of the first things I had to give up, is caring about a clean house.
Yeah, totally. And so just really like, I mean, you know, keep it sanitary, people. But, you know, if your kids' toys are everywhere and people come over and you're giving them product or whatever, it's like, be real. Like, show people that this is a real thing, but you can be a professional and still be raw. Like, that's because we're human. That's how it should be. So, Lindsey, the last thing I would love for you to touch on, and this can be super quick because I feel like it's kind of piecing everything together, but everyone on this call and everyone who will be watching this recording, we have so many people who I've had like 18 text messages like, is it still going on? Is it too late? And I'm just like, catch the recording. We're wrapping up. But getting to executive, that mindset, can you bring us back to when you got to executive and that mindset you were in to get there? And what did that look like? You know, like, how would you maintain that mindset, or how would you describe that to other people? And how did you maintain that for yourself while you were running for executive?
Well, I did it in 90 days, and it was an all-out gut fest. That's what I call it. It's ugly. It's not pretty. And you can't go slow with getting to executive. I'm just going to say that right now. It's not something you can go slow with, because if you create a consultant and then you wait 3 months to create your next consultant, one will drop off. Like, you literally have to set a date and hold your feet to it and just make it happen, because it's not something you can do slowly. It's just not. You have to go fast. Speed is on your side when you're running for executive. So you do have to go fast. And, you know, I would even say, you know, Isagenix gives you $100 bonus for the first 20 consultants. There's a reason for that. You really need 20 to be in a safe, you know, solid executive spot. Mm-hmm. So literally just put your foot on the gas, hit executive, and keep creating consultants at that same speed, because inevitably one's going to fall out. And people get demotivated by, you know, by falling out or whatever, and they get all deflated and like, can't do this or whatever. So just don't stop. Like, just keep going until you're in a really solid executive position where you don't have to like worry about it. I mean, of course, like, honestly, you guys, creating consultants and enrolling people are things you just never stop doing. You've never, like, I have never once been like, hey, done with that. You know, like, you just never ever stop doing those things. So for sure, to get to executive, that run to executive, it has to be fast. Does it have to be 90 days? Maybe not, but like, I feel like it would almost be better if everyone just focused on enrolling 30 people first, and then did a 90-day sprint to executive. I almost feel like that would be better. Just enroll, you know, 30 people and then set a date and just make it happen. Because it is literally, you're just gutting it out. You're just getting it done and you're running fast and hitting that goal.
Does that sound familiar, Summer? that's literally, they're like, they had their 90 days and they're gonna get it this weekend.
It's messy. It's messy. You just do it. You just get it done.
Oh, it's crazy town. It is absolutely crazy town. I can't wait to be immersed in their environment for the next 48 hours. I'm just camping out at their house and we're making it happen. So, Lindsey, thank you. Like, I can't even begin to describe the amount of value. Like, you can see the comments. People are just like, you know, you're their women crush for the rest of your life. But the amount of like perspective and energy and love that you poured, even like your little song, like everything made an impact. And so thank you, like, from the bottom of everything in my body, because my heart just isn't big enough to really get it across. But you've added so much value to these people whom I adore, and that just makes me swoon over you even more. So if you guys Find Lindsey on Facebook and send her like the most amazing Facebook message. Lindsey, what's your love language?
What's my love language? What are my choices?
Words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, physical touch, and acts of service.
That's it.
Perfect. Okay, we will try to actively serve you as much as we can.
Like I would take my husband sweeping the dang kitchen floor over flowers any day of the week, yo.
So sexy. Yeah. Do chores, totally. All right. Well, you guys throw some love in the chat for Lindsey, but truly like reach out on Facebook. You can find her on Messenger and just let her know how this added value to you. Because remember, as someone who pours value and as a mentor, the best gift you can give them is to show them what you did with what they gave you and how it made your life better. Because as you can tell, Lindsey has a heart of service. She just spent an hour and a half with us. And she knows me. She doesn't even like know any of us really, but she was willing to do that because she believes in the vision of this company. She believes in what we stand for. And because I paid her. Just kidding. I did not.
You know why? You know why I did?
Why?
Because Rachel has the same heart of service and the same dedication and the same passion and the same language of crazy that I have. So we understand each other, and people like that, you know, we support each other. That's what we do.
Amen. Amen. All right, girl. Thank you so much, team. It was so good to spend this time with you tonight. And Lindsey, we cannot wait to celebrate you at Celebration because we know we're going to see you on stage again, and you're going to see some of these folks on stage too. It's going to be awesome. All right, you guys. Everyone have a good evening. Hustle hard. Finish out the January Jolt. And don't forget about where you're welcome back, folks. But January Jolt, just hone in and focus. What is that next bonus level that you're going for? And run. Messy run. Just get there, whatever it's going to take. Like I love that how you said that, gut it out. It just makes it sound so like this is going to be disgusting. Just embrace it. Embrace it.
It is disgusting. Just get it.
No showers. It's been a few days. That's why I'm like keeping my head above the level here. It's greasy. All right, you guys. Love you all so much. Lindsey, thank you for your time tonight.
You're welcome.
Good night, guys.